Hello friends, and welcome back to Random Hearts, and welcome to the kitchen. Tonight we are going to be making beef stroganoff using some of our leftover beef pot roast that we made just a few days ago. If you have not watched that video, I will link it up in the cards so that you can go watch that now. If you do not have leftover pot roast meat, you can substitute with ground beef. It just takes a little bit longer because the meat is not already pre-cooked, and you will have to add a few extra seasonings, so like salt and pepper, maybe a little bit of onion to the ground beef. But for right now, we are going to be using beef pot roast. We are going to be using one pot for tonight's dish. I do have a side dish that I will be making with tonight's dinner, and that is sliced zucchini that is going to be fried in a skillet. So we will end up with two pots. But this dish comes together very quickly. It will take about 30 minutes, and we'll have a lovely meal with little to no effort. So let's get started. So I have a large stock pot of water right here. I've got some hot water in here and a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon of salt. That is for our pasta. And then over on this side, I've got a skillet with about a tablespoon of olive oil and a little bit of basil. I freeze my basil into little cubes like this and then put them into a pan. I'm going to start this at about medium low. I don't want it to be too hot. I do want my pasta to get going first before I really get this started. But I'm going to cut up some zucchini while we're waiting on this. All right, our water is now boiling. I'm going to set this aside. So I've got my salted water here that is boiling. I'm going to cook this pasta, this macaroni, these noodles for about 6 to 7 minutes. These will be just firm. I don't want them overcooked because they will have a little bit of cooking time on them afterwards. I got about a quarter cup of green onion right here I'm going to put into my zucchini pan. We'll get that cooking up along with the basil and olive oil cube. And I do like to freeze my herbs that way because they're an easy way to use them later. I'm going to be using these this spoon kind of simultaneously between these two pots just because I don't need to dirty another dish. So I'm going to stir that up, make sure it's not sticking. This one is just about ready for me to add some zucchini to it. And we're just going to put some zucchini and some salt and pepper in that dish. I think I may have overestimated my zucchini a little bit here. I might have a little bit too much. Now, if you ever do that and you've got more zucchini or more of a vegetable than you need, you can always put this in the refrigerator for another meal. I'm planning on making some soups in the next couple of days. This could easily be used in a soup recipe. So let's see here what we can get into this small pan. I just want a very thin layer on the bottom. So I don't want this to be too crowded. I think that's all I'm going to put in tonight. Some salt and pepper. And I want to be pretty generous with this because there is no other seasoning in here, just the basil. And like I said, we're probably medium-low on this. I could turn it up to medium, but I'm going to leave it on the lower setting. Our pasta has about 4 minutes left, and then I'm just going to drain all of that liquid off. Now, I know some people do reserve some of their pasta water for thickening their sauces, but I'm going to be using milk tonight instead and a little bit of beef broth. So we'll just continue cooking these, and we'll see where we're at with the pasta in just a few minutes. All right, my timer just went off for my pasta. And I think we are just going to test that real quick to make sure that it is okay. Yep, that's pretty good. Okay, I do not want to turn my stove off. I'm just going to go drain the pasta. Now in that same pan, I am going to put 2 tablespoons of butter. About a quarter cup of white onion. Now I'm using onions from my own garden, and because they did not bulb up this year, I have very small amounts of the whites, but large parts of the greens. So that is why I used greens in the zucchini tonight. I'm pretty much saving my white parts for things that I think it would be better in. And I do think the stroganoff will have a better flavor with that. I will also need 1 clove of garlic. And we're just going to get that down into this pan and start cooking all of that together. Giving that a quick stir to melt that butter. I may turn this down just a little. It's a little bit high. Remember I had a medium high for boiling the water, but I'm going to turn that down to about medium. We'll let those onions become a little more translucent. Give our zucchini a quick stir here. Then I want to add about 8 ounces of cleaned and sliced mushrooms. I am using the cremini style or the baby portobellos. I prefer the brown mushrooms over the white. I just like their flavor better. And I'm just going to leave that in the pan. You want to keep this as least crowded as possible to get the best flavor. So we're just going to let that sit, try to get an even layer on the bottom. That's going to cook for about 5 minutes. While I've got my mushrooms cooking on the stove, I am going to take the opportunity to start my stroganoff sauce. In this bowl, I have about 8 ounces of sour cream. That is full sour cream. And I've got 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour here. I'm going to mix those 2 together. It will get a little bit lumpy, but I'm okay with that for right now. It will even out in the end. I just want to mix that up, make sure I've got it all mixed well. Then I'm going to be adding about a tablespoon of bouillon to this. Actually, a teaspoon, I'm sorry, a teaspoon of bouillon. Now, I like the Better Than Bouillon brand. I used to use granular bouillon in this dish, but I find the flavor is much more intense in this one. I do not want to lose all of that flavoring, so I'm actually going to set that to the side for a second. We're going to mix this together with that flour and sour cream. Get a nice creamy consistency. And then we're going to see how these mushrooms are doing. Doing great. They are starting to lose some of their moisture. I'm going to keep making sure those have a thin layer on the bottom of this pan. I want to get some of that very caramelized coloring going on. We'll give our zucchini a quick stir. Oh yeah, we're getting some caramelization on the bottom of these. And I always find it important to clean up as I go, so I'm kind of putting things away as I'm not using them. Going to give that another quick stir. It is doing quite well. I'm loving the color that we're getting, and it smells just amazing. Just a few more minutes on that, and then we're going to add our beef directly to this pot. So I've got my leftover pot roast right here. We just shred it up really finely and then put it into a container. You should have about a pound of this. I know we do not tonight, but we're close. So I'm going to go ahead and add that directly to our mushroom, onion, and garlic mixture here. Let that warm up. Okay, I'm going to give this a quick stir. Get all that meat and mushroom onion mixture incorporated together. We want that meat to warm up, the mushrooms to continue cooking. I am going to turn this down just a little bit. We're at about medium-low now. And we are just about ready to add our sour cream mixture. I'm going to go ahead and put that directly into the pan. It will thicken pretty quickly here if I don't work very quick. I'm going to be adding our milk as well. And I'm going to leave the spatula in there so I can clean that off. So I've got about a cup of milk here. And I do use whole milk. Give that a quick stir. I'm going to turn my zucchini off. It is pretty much ready. And we just want this sauce to thicken. You can use some beef broth as a substitute for the milk, or you could use half and half, basically half broth, half milk, and that will make it taste really good too. But we do prefer the milk in this dish. Just makes it a little creamier. We want that to come to a quick little boil. Then we're going to add our pasta back to this dish. Now I haven't added any seasoning yet, and that is pretty much because I don't know what its flavor is before I've tasted it. A lot of the ingredients I'm putting in here already have quite a lot of salt in them, so I do want to make sure I'm not over salting, so I will taste this before we salt it. I did add some cracked black pepper to it. That's always a good addition. But we will not salt this until we are ready to taste it. Yet that is thickening up very nicely. I believe we're just about ready to turn this off. I'm going to actually turn it off, and we'll add our pasta. Give that a quick stir. And I do like to serve this with a tiny bit of parsley on top. And my friends, that is all there is to it. We have made beef stroganoff tonight using that leftover beef pot roast. And it will be amazing, delicious, and super easy in under 30 minutes. Well, friends, that's going to do it for this video. We've made our beef stroganoff using leftover beef pot roast, and it is one of our favorite ways to use that leftover meat. I did have a subscriber suggest tacos with it, and we do love a good taco, so I think maybe the next pot roast we make, we will try our leftovers in that. But if you liked this stroganoff video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. We'd be happy to answer those for you. If you have liked this video, let us know, and please subscribe to the channel. That helps us out quite a lot. We would love to have you part of our community. And just as a side note, I did not add any additional salt to this dish tonight. I did taste it right as we were serving it up, and it is perfectly seasoned for our liking. Now, if you have someone in your family that likes a little additional salt, you could serve that at the table. But we hope that you will give this a try. We hope you're having a lovely evening wherever you are, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.